Lowe's knows July 4th savings are worth celebrating. Right now, get up to 40% off select major appliances and get an additional 10% off 2 or more select major appliances. Plus, get 3 Scott's Naturescapes 1.5 cubic foot mulch bags for just $10. These deals are coming in hot. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 7/9. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. See Lowe's.com for more details. Excludes Alaska and Hawaii.
You're in a good place now. You are listening to Perspectives with Ashley Berges.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Ashley Berges Show. Today I want to talk about a topic that I think is going to be a relief to many people. It might be a little overwhelming to accept initially, but the relief that it's going to give you and the relief that it's going to give your life is going to be amazing. I believe that for the most part, we are alone. And the fact that we are the only person that really understands ourselves. We are the only one that completely understands ourselves. And we're still learning about ourselves, but we grasp what we're about. We understand what we mean. We're working on ourselves. And it's interesting because I find that there's not really any other person on the planet, even if you're married or you have, parents that have been with you or a brother or sister or a best friend, even they don't really understand you. They only understand what they can interpret, what they can assume, what they believe is you. And I was recently in a session with a client and I said, I probably know you better than anybody knows you. I ask so many questions. I'm constantly interested in how you're feeling, why you feel this way, what were the thoughts around that, what are the dreams that you're having, how do we interpret these things? And so very few of us, if any of us, have anybody in our life that's actually doing that. We don't, right? We don't. It's us. And even if you're married, even if you've been married for 50 years, even if you're sleeping next to somebody for the last 25 years, it doesn't matter. They only know what you tell them and what they see, and then from what you see or from what they see and what you tell them, they can only assume and interpret in their own interpretation from their own experiences based on their historical record of what you mean by that. So what I'm saying is that your meaning of what you're saying could be very different than their interpretation of what they think you're saying. And I find that this can be very kind of scary to some people because they're like, wow, we might be really alone as far as there are parts of us that other people probably won't understand, probably won't be able to grasp. And even if you try to explain yourself to some people, right, they're still going to interpret or assume, or they've already made assumptions or how they feel about you is already in their mind. So no matter what you say or do, you can't change that or override that. And let me give you an example. For any of you that might be codependent or very much people pleasers, or you get value from helping others or doing good for others, and doing good for others is not a bad thing. That's a good thing, but I want us to do good for others because that's what we want to do, not because we have to do it. Not because we feel like we have to do it. Not because we're being bullied into it or shamed or guilted into it. None of those options. We want to be super aware of why we're doing something. So, for example, recently I had a friend of mine that was taking care of somebody in the hospital. And they did a lot of things and they went out of their way. And they literally took everything else in their life and threw it on the back burner. I watched it, and I watched it from the sidelines. I watched it. And it was interesting. And that person that they were helping really didn't really believe in them actually helping them. So what I'm saying is they had an interpretation of who they believe this person to be or what they believe this person is capable of. And so instead of seeing this altruistic, I'm dropping everything for you, taking you to the hospital, doing these things for you, instead of interpreting it that way, they interpreted it as somebody that was brown-nosing, somebody that was trying to get this person to like them more. They felt like it was very manipulative. So they were doing all these things, literally putting their work and their other responsibilities to the wayside. And in the process, the person that they were helping didn't really see it as help at all. They were looking through it feeling as though this person was manipulating them into making them to believe that they're somebody that they're not. What I mean by that is that when somebody has an interpretation of who you are, it's very hard, if impossible, to change that interpretation. Okay. And that interpretation could come from other sources, as far as somebody was talking ill about you or positive about you or negative or neutral about you. And that person allows that other person's, way of thinking to basically cloud into color how they think about you. And so they interpret whatever that other person is saying as the gospel truth and then interpret that from there. Now, what I find, though, for people that are people pleasers and codependency, and we've learned that growing up as a child, many of us were in environments where, the codependency rubbed off, or we became very codependent with people that were in need as far as there were issues. Maybe that, you had an alcoholic mother or father or a parent that was doing drugs, or a parent that was very narcissistic and self-centered, and so you catered to them, or a parent that had borderline personality disorder and you were catering to them. I mean, you didn't know what was going on. You just began to take on that determination of, I'm going to take care of everybody. I'm going to solve the problem. I'm going to make things work. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be the best kid. I'm going to get the best grades. I'm going to do all these things in an effort to make everybody happy with me. And an effort to make everyone happy with me, and in an effort for me to calm the situation and all that stuff. So a lot of us learn that in a young age. And throughout our life, it has become a critical position we have as far as wanting to do these things for others. And I beg to ask the question, because this is something that I think many of you don't think about, is altruistic. It's fine to be altruistic. It's fine to give to people, but you need to think about it. Do I want to do this because I want to do this for someone else? Do I want to do this? Is this something I really just want to do for them? Or is this something that I have been guilted into doing, shamed into doing, or I think this will change the trajectory of our relationship in a positive way if I do this, or I'm trying to get somebody to see me in a different light? Okay, because all those other reasons, besides just doing it because you want to do it, are not good reasons of doing things. And it's very hard to see things honestly. It's very hard to separate things and see things. Do I really want to do this because I want to do this? Is this something that I honestly want to do? Question mark. Because it's so hard to understand that, because it goes back to so many years of patterns of behavior and codependent people-pleasing training, that you have to really deep down inside really actually explore the fact that you really actually truly want to do this just altruistically, and it doesn't matter what the outcome is. It doesn't matter. If you have to go into these things and say, if I actually altruistically really just want to do this because I just want to do this, that means that no matter what happens, I don't care. Even if the person says that I'm a jackass and hates me, it's okay. I might have spent 3 days doing this, but that's okay, because it wasn't about that. It was about me doing it because I wanted to do that. And so these are things that you have to really look at, because I've realized we actually are, to some degree, alone. I mean, it was interesting because in several sessions lately, I realized that I know more about that client than their spouse, their family, their friends, because I ask questions. I'm constantly asking questions. I'm constantly getting a deeper dive psychologically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually than probably anybody else in their life. I can honestly say that. And they can honestly agree with that. Because most people assume what we're saying. They don't ask the question. They just assume what you mean. Then remember, the fact is that most of us have, no matter how close a friend is, they have their own hangups, their own issues, their own mental hangups, their own issues that cloud the judgment of how they hear and interpret something. Okay? For one person, you can say something and the other person can be very anxious attachment, and assume that you're saying something to them or putting them down when it has nothing to do with that. You could have somebody that's very avoidant that doesn't even really listen or even pay attention. They might catch a word or two, but they're not really there. You may have somebody that thinks that they know what you're talking about, but they really don't. They don't really have a concept of what you are really saying to them. You might have somebody that's been in a similar situation that you're talking about, but it's a very different situation and you have different thoughts about it. Very rarely are you going to have someone that understands exactly how you feel. I mean, it's almost impossible. Even if you literally drew pictures and talked about it to nauseum, it's very hard. Think about it. When was the last time you tried to explain to a friend an argument or a negative situation that took place between a friend of yours or a family member or something, and the person was like making comments, but it really wasn't going along with what was going on, and you were trying to give as much backstory as possible, but you started getting exhausted at some point after about 30 minutes going, oh my God, how much backstory can I get? Because the other person doesn't really understand. And that's very interesting because that's why I find it's interesting when people say, oh, I don't need to go to coaching or therapy. You know, I can talk to a friend. Oh, really? Do you have a friend that's going to listen for hours on end about why you made this decision based on your historical record of your family dynamic in your childhood? No. A lot of people are just going to go along with what you say just to get you to shut up. Other people may think that they have an idea, but they don't. And some people are going to lead you down the path to making a bad decision because they're assuming things that are not correct. And also remember, when you go to friends for advice, they all have their own desire and whatever they think is best for you as well. So again, this is a biased concept of its own. And the fact that they even know what's best for you is also a misnomer in its own judgment as well, because nobody should know what's best for you besides yourself. Most people have no clue. They might make assumptions. So I think about this. It can be a very isolating feeling, but at the same time, we really are the center of our own universe, okay? Nobody else is. You may have really deep connections with your family or a spouse or a good friend or several people in your life, and that's great. That's excellent. I'm glad for you. But again, I want you to really look at these relationships and realize, yes, they've been around for a while, but they still don't really get you. They still don't really understand you. They can only understand you as much information as they have processed, and as much as they've processed this information based on your reality, not their reality, not how they interpret it, not their life. So think about that. You are the center of your universe, and I feel like everybody else around you is like a mirror of some part of you, some part that you're dealing with, whether it's a powerful, successful part or something that you're struggling with or something you haven't accepted. Maybe it's a shadow part of you, your shadow self. Maybe it's not. And I feel like the mirrors of people it's almost like a funhouse mirror, because some of them can be so distorted and so overwhelming. Some of them can be more accurate as far as they're closer to where you are, but some aren't. And it's interesting. It's like when you really think about it, it's like that disco ball with those little mirrors, and each person kind of has this mirror that's reflecting back into you that you're reflecting back out to them. And if you think about somebody else too, it's like it's their thoughts, right? So even if you have a spouse, even if you're in a long-term relationship and you've been sleeping in the same bed for how many years, 20, 30 years, they're still in their own mind. You might see them, you might participate in things with them, but you're not in their mind 24/7. You're not in their mind at all. You have no idea what they're thinking about in their mind. They could be acting one way and thinking the other. They could be acting like they're happy and thinking about something completely different. You have absolutely no idea unless they get honest with you. And when you tell them things about life or about thoughts or whatever, they interpret those as they do. Like, think about it when many of us have, concepts of what's happening around the world around us, and some people call them conspiracy theories, but conspiracy theories aren't conspiracy theories if they're real, right? Because they're really happening, so it's not a conspiracy. But it's interesting, like when you bring that up, things that are actually real, even though they're scientifically acknowledged, you bring it up, people, oh, come on. Part of that is because they don't want to deal with it. The other part is they might be fearful of the fact that it could be true. The other fact is that they've been brainwashed for so long to believe that it can't be true. And so even something that simple can turn into an argument or somebody shutting down because they can't grasp it. They can't believe it. They can't wrap their brain around that. And so again, when people think about other people having walls, like I know that many of us that have been in long-term marriages, long-term relationships, 20 plus years, many of you say, hey, I feel like my spouse, like there's a wall, like maybe there's an intimacy wall. Maybe there's like, not a lot of sex or sexual actions at home anymore. And you say, oh, that person has a wall up against that. Yeah, sure. But also a lot of times there's a mental, emotional wall up, right? But think about it. I mean, I think that's logical in the fact that, when somebody is thinking, feeling, going through processes, there's a very isolated feeling, no matter if somebody has people all around them. It can still feel very isolating. And so it's like when you think about people coming in and out of your life, how they interpret what you're saying, how do they interpret what you're commenting, what you're saying in life. So, they're either assuming something or they have literally asked you questions to nauseam to get a better idea of what you think. But again, for the most part, it's assumptions and personal interpretations based on their own theories, thoughts, historical background. Okay? And so for you codependents, for you people pleasers out here, this should actually be very refreshing for you. It should be a relief for you that you can let go of doing all these things all the time to impress on people or to make them happier or to make them feel better or whatever it is, because honestly, the interpretation of you has already been made.
Lowe's knows July 4th savings are worth celebrating. Right now, get up to 40% off select major appliances and get an additional 10% off 2 or more select major appliances. Plus, get 3 Scott's Naturescapes 1.5 cubic foot mulch bags for just $10. These deals are coming in hot. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 7/9. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. See Lowe's.com for more details. Excludes Alaska and Hawaii.
As you know, people make interpretations from the very beginning. And, I find that there's some relationships that need to probably be let go of. But I also think, too, one of the biggest things that we can let go of is looking for others for acceptance. It's about going within, because remember, some people are going to accept you and they're not. And if somebody doesn't accept you and they haven't accepted you, no matter what you do, is not going to it's not going to change the fact that they accept you or not accept you. It's not like one day you're going to do this thing and they're going to be like, oh my God, hallelujah, oh praise the Lord, oh my God, this person's a saint. Oh, why haven't I seen this before? If they already have an assumption about you that is not saintly, it ain't going to happen. And I know some of you are like, oh, well, these people think that I walked on water. I'm on the pedestal. I want to stay on the pedestal. But there will be a moment where you're not going to be on the pedestal. Nothing you can do or say is going to change that. They will execute that moment, even when you're probably least expecting it, and you will be off that pedestal and on the ground. And there you are trying to do these things to get back on that pedestal. Oh, I just want to get back on the pedestal. Oh, but they've already made an assumption on how they feel about you. So again, it doesn't matter. It's not until we take that away from them. You got to take that away from them as far as you don't need acceptance from other people, because it doesn't matter anyway, because the acceptance that you're getting from other people is only based on their own interpretations of what they accept or not accept. So why does it matter to you? And I'm not saying we don't do good for people. I'm not saying we stop doing things for people and we start being a jackass in every aspect of our life. That's not at all what I'm saying. But I'm saying that we have to do things because we truly, at our core, want to do them. It's not because we have to. It's not because we were made to. It's not because we were punished to. It's not because we were guilted to. It's not because we were shamed into doing something. Remember the last time you were guilted or shamed into doing something? How did you feel about that? You did it anyway, but you felt crappy. You did it anyway, but you remember it because it was like, man, that really sucked. That was one of my worst experiences of my life. I did it, but it sucked. And so I want you to think about that. You can't just like get this time back. It's not like you can like throw away 2 weeks of your life and just go, oh, here's another 2 weeks back. It's like you got to start focusing on your life and figuring out, what do I want to do? What is at my highest good? It's not necessarily like, oh, I want to go out and party and go crazy, but what's at my highest good? What is best? Because usually what is best for you, I mean, seriously, not what you're conjuring up as being best in some sort of cockeyed scheme. I'm talking about the best version of you, the highest level of you. Attaining the highest level of you can only be the best for everybody else, right? It can only be the best for everybody else when we finally look at that and see that and understanding what that is. And understanding like the people coming in and out of your life, there will be people that will be long-term. There will be people that will be less long-term. But I want you to think about that. I want you to think about that. And I want you to think about how much energy you put into what others think about you. What others think about you. I mean, because if you think about it, remember, what they think about you, you can't change. And how they think about you is based on their own limitations or thought process or versions of the world. And you can't change that. I can't take everybody and chlorophyll them and take them to a day spa for a week and do some Jedi mind change on them. I can't do that. I mean, maybe you can hire me to do that. I'm just kidding. But no, I can't do that. So I can't change the way they think. They already think that way. They already live that way. They already believe that way. They already coming from a position of action that way. That is where they are in their life. That is who they are as a person. And so when you realize that, and you begin to look at all the energy that you're dissipating, trying to get other people to like you or think you're a good person and all this stuff, it's like, why are we wasting all that time? When I look at my situations, I have really become aware over the last several 10, 12 years. I don't do things just to impress people. I don't do things anymore just to get people to like me. I mean, if anything, I'd probably go the opposite direction because I've let it go. When I'm really genuine, when I'm helping people, it's always genuine. It's always genuine because I know it's like it's either going to work, it's not work. But if I'm giving other people the ability to accept me or reject me, and I'm taking that personally, I have a problem. And it really, it got to me. It was about 10 years ago, maybe less. When I've been actually probably more. I was in a couple of reality shows and that kind of sort of thing. And people always have their comments. They either really think you're great or they think you're a loser. They either think you're awesome or they tell you to go kill yourself. And it's the same thing on YouTube and stuff like that. People make comments from the inside of their house that they would never say to somebody in person, but they can be really mean and hateful things. Now, they can be very nice things. I've had people, really, in all honesty, like tell me that I saved them from suicide. I've had actually thousands of people say that. But I've also had people say, hey, go put your head in the freaking oven and kill yourself. And so I had to let go of looking for acceptance and approval outside of other people. And I had to realize that no matter what I did, people are going to have their ideas about who I am. They're going to decide who I am. Some people will decide who you are the first time they meet you, and you can't change that decision for them. And you just got to let it go. Some people will automatically accept you and think you're great, and some people will not. And one of the biggest fallacies we have in our life, and this is one of the saddest things that most of us do, and I'm going to end this podcast with this. When you were in elementary school, There was probably a kid that didn't like you. There was a kid that thought you were a dork. There was a kid that messed with you, made fun of you, was mean. Okay? And that's sad. And we all had somebody that didn't like us. Some people had it worse than others. And I know that many of us tried so hard to get that person to like you. You tried so hard. You do things. You would hope that they would see that. You would go out of your way to do something, but it never worked. It never, ever worked. And all you could think about was that one person that didn't like you all the time. And all you could think about, what could I do to get this person to like me? But there was all those other people that liked you, but you didn't pay attention to them. You didn't really focus on them because it was so important that this one person did not accept you. And see how much havoc it did to your life, and see how we're in that same thing again. Most of us are still living that. I know some people, oh, no, I'm not like that. But for the most part, most people are. You still want everybody to like you. You still care about what people think. And it's not until you stop caring what people think. And I'm not saying about doing crazy stuff and going out and, and doing stuff that's just insane. I'm saying about living the life of your highest level of good and letting go of caring what the others say. Because they're either going to love you or they're not. But then again, it's great when people love you, but isn't it more important if you love yourself? Isn't that really the greatest outcome? And in the end, aren't we all alone anyway? And I don't mean to sound morbid, but we are if you think about it. It doesn't matter if you have 1 million people around you. That 1 million people only knows the sides of you that you've shown them and how they've interpreted it. They don't even really know you, because they only know the interpretation of you. And as long as you understand that it's the interpretation of you, not the knowing of you. I mean, like the real true knowing of you, it's not. If you can understand that, I think that can give you a good relief to understand, even if somebody doesn't like you, again, they don't like the interpretation of you, not the true you. And that, to me, is a powerful place to be at and a powerful place to live from. And I ask you to do that now, is to begin to think about that in every aspect of your life. Begin to think about all the relationships you've had, everything that's worked, everything that hasn't, all the ups and downs and those types of things that you're going through. And any time that you're trying to get somebody to really like you or to see your value, I want you to step back and think about the words that I've spoke about. Maybe listening to this a couple of times. This is very deep. This is not a light concept. This is one of the biggest concepts you'll ever learn in life, to begin to see your truth and to begin to live for you, because ultimately that's what we're here to do. You can help others. You can be married. You can have children. You can have family. You can have all this stuff. It's great. It's great because you got mirrors. You got stuff like that to learn from. But in the end, it's about how we see ourselves, how we come to our highest level, and ultimately how we bring and take the need for acceptance from other people about us and take that and harness that to begin to find acceptance in ourselves. If you haven't already, check out my YouTube channel and subscribe. We're almost at 200,000 subscribers. We're so close. So go to Ashley Berges or Life Coach Ashley Berges on YouTube, and you'll see the picture with the orange background for the new podcast. Go on and click that subscribe button. Check out some of those videos. We put 2 videos out at least per week. You can also join as a member and get options for exclusive members-only content. Check it out. Love to have you as a member there, or love to have you as a subscriber on the YouTube channel. Also, don't forget, I'm on Facebook, Ashley Berges. On Instagram, Ashley Berges. LinkedIn, Ashley Berges. TikTok, relationship expert on TikTok, or relationship. It would be under Ashley Berges as well. So, it's there. The relationship rescue. That's it. Relationship rescue. Ashley Berges. Check that out. Content all over. If you can, subscribe or follow, and we'll follow you back. In the meantime, think about this. It's all about you. It's up to you, and otherwise, other people are just interpreting and assuming. I'll be back next week with a new podcast, and you've been listening to the Ashley Berges Podcast. Don't forget to live your true life.
Lowe's knows July 4th savings are worth celebrating. Right now, get up to 40% off select major appliances and get an additional 10% off 2 or more select major appliances. Plus, get 3 Scott's Naturescapes 1.5 cubic foot mulch bags for just $10. These deals are coming in hot. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 7/9. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. See Lowe's.com for more details. Excludes Alaska and Hawaii.